and welcome to a very special episode of English for All. Today, I am not in the studio with John. Today, I want to tell you a personal story. This story happened to me a few years ago. It is a true story, and it changed how I look at strangers. It started on a cold, rainy Tuesday afternoon in London. The wind was blowing and the rain was hitting my face. I wanted to escape the cold, so I walked into a small old bookstore. The shop was quiet and dark. It smelled like old paper and wood. There were books everywhere, from the floor to the ceiling. In the back of the shop, I saw a shelf with very old books. I love old stories, so I walked over to look. I picked up a beautiful green book. It was an old poetry book from 50 years ago. I opened it carefully. As I turned the pages, something fell out of the book. It made a soft sound on the wooden floor. I looked down. It was an envelope. The paper was yellow and old. On the front of the envelope, there was no name. There was only an address written in elegant dark ink. Number 12, Church Street. My heart started beating a little faster. I looked around the shop. The old shopkeeper was sitting at his desk reading a newspaper. He did not see me. I held the envelope in my hand. Was it a mistake? Was it a secret? I opened the envelope very slowly. Inside, there was a small piece of paper with a short message. I read the words on the paper. The handwriting was difficult to read, but the message was clear. It said, "My dearest, I am waiting for you. Every Friday at 4 p.m., I sit by the window at the corner cafe on Church Street. I bring your favorite book. I hope you remember your promise. Please, do not be late." I read it again, and then a third time. The letter had no date. It had no signature. Who wrote this? Who was supposed to receive it? I looked at the clock on the bookstore wall. It was Tuesday. Friday was only 3 days away. I felt a sudden wave of curiosity. I asked myself, should I go to Church Street on Friday? Is this a dangerous mystery, or is it a beautiful story? I bought the old green book, put the letter back inside my bag, and walked home. All night, I couldn't sleep. The words stayed in my head like a song. Please, do not be late. For the next 2 days, I tried to do my normal work. I cleaned my apartment. I watched TV. I cooked dinner. But I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about the corner cafe. Finally, Friday arrived. The weather was completely different. The sky was blue and the sun was shining warmly. At 3:30 p.m., I stood in front of my mirror. I felt anxious, but I knew I had to go. I took my coat, picked up the old green book, and left my apartment. I walked toward Church Street. Church Street was a beautiful, narrow street with old brick houses and small trees. I walked slowly, looking at the numbers on the buildings. Number 6, number 8, number 10, and there it was, number 12. It was a charming little cafe with large glass windows. Inside, the lights were warm. I could see people drinking tea and talking. I opened the door. A small bell rang above my head. I walked in and looked around the room. My eyes went directly to the corner window. Sitting by the window was an elderly man. He was about 80 years old. He had kind eyes and very neat white hair. He was wearing a smart blue jacket. On his table, there was a hot cup of tea. But he was not drinking it. He was simply looking out the window at the street. He looked lonely but patient. I took a deep breath. I walked across the cafe, right up to his table. "Excuse me, sir," I said softly. The man turned his head and looked at me. He smiled a very gentle smile. "Yes, young lady, can I help you?" I did not know what to say. I felt nervous. I reached into my bag and took out the yellow envelope. I placed it gently on the table next to his tea. The moment the man saw the envelope, his smile disappeared. His face went pale. His hands started to shake. He looked at the envelope, then he looked up into my eyes. Where did you find this?" he whispered. His voice was trembling. "I found it inside an old green book," I replied. "In the bookstore down the road." The old man touched the paper with his fingers. A tear appeared in his eye, but then he smiled a deep, happy smile. He invited me to sit down and he told me his story. His name was Arthur. 40 years ago, he wrote that letter to the love of his life, Rose. They loved books, and they promised to meet at this cafe every Friday. But one day, Rose lost the book with the letter inside. She searched for it everywhere, but she couldn't find it. Because she lost the letter, she forgot the exact address of the cafe. They lost touch, and life took them on different paths. "But why do you still come here every Friday?" I asked. Arthur looked out the window. "Because a promise is a gold coin," he said. "You never throw it away." I always hoped that one day the book would find its way back to this street. We talked for an hour. I gave him the old green book. He thanked me with all his heart. When I left the cafe that day, I felt an incredible sense of peace. What a beautiful memory. Now, let's look at 3 important advanced expressions from my story that you can use in your daily English. 1. To lose touch. This means to stop communicating with someone over time. Example: Arthur and Rose lost touch after many years. 2. To tremble. This means to shake slightly because you are afraid, cold, or emotional. Example: His voice was trembling when he saw the letter. 3. Anxious. This means feeling worried or nervous about something. Example: I felt anxious before walking into the cafe. Thank you for listening to my story today. Tell me in the comments, do you keep your promises? Have you ever found something mysterious inside a book? See you next time. Bye-bye.